Alright, we're going to try this again.
Take two. Here we go. Welcome to SNS TV. We are going to be, once again, going over the big fat stinking myths, the sacred cows of the community, debunking them, making them, looks like we got a better picture this time, making it known what we think is crap out there and what is actually something that is based in reality and something that you can actually use.
Yes, and as a matter, I'll answer the question for the sharpshooter. He said, so which one of you guys sat down and watched Twilight to figure out what Bella thought of Edward, or do you both have a movie night? Here's the thing.
I tried to read it.
He tried to read it. I haven't attempted to read that book. I've just seen excerpts to realize how badly it's written. But I have seen Twilight probably about 4 or 5 times with riff tracks, because that is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I mean, riff tracks, rifftrax.com. Here, I'll even
highly recommended. It'll take any crappy movie out there, Twilight being chief among those, and make it actually watchable. It'll be pretty much hilarious.
Yes.
So,
if you have ever seen Mystery Science Theater 3000, that's why same people do that. So it's just these guys that just make fun of movies, and they make fun of Twilight to a T. So I've watched it with a whole bunch of girls come over and say, you got to see this version of Riff Tracks.
Now,
Twilight.
A quick note on the book. Even though it is a piece of shit, it is very indicative of female psychology and what they actually wanted. It really embodies a lot of women's fantasies, and that's why they all fucking love it, even though it's retarded and poorly written. But, I mean, those 3 things that we have in the videos, that really embodies a lot of women's fantasies. So think about that in terms of what it means for comfort. Some of the dialogue in there, my favorite line was, what was that? I told him I was hungry, but in truth I had lied, for my tummy was full of butterflies. That really is a line in the book. So, anyhow, no more talk about Twilight.
All right.
We want to talk quickly about the book, and in fact, mention that 5 guys...
The book we're writing, not the Twilight book.
Yeah, not that book. 5 guys are going to be able to see a few of the opening sections of our book for free. We are going to share that with you in return for your feedback. And honestly, we don't want you to sugarcoat anything or say, oh, dude, it's awesome just to kiss our ass. We don't really need any of that. But we do want to get some honest feedback, some criticism or whatever, so that we can give you exactly what you're looking for. So we will be... basically how you're going to do that is you are going to send an email after this show to this email address saying that you would like to be one of the 5, and we will choose 5 people and let them see the opening several sections of the book. Once again, it's a book on approaching. It's going to give you all of the things that you need to approach, and it's going to be highly controversial. Some people it's going to be polarizing for them.
And Funny suggests that we have Ross Jeffries critique it. He's very honest, I think.
Oh, you know, I still remember Ross Jeffries' gold walk-up CD filled with, because he is the expert on walk-ups, as he calls them, filled with the best advice on how to approach women. Holy Jesus, was that a lousy product. Now, overall, we tell you that it really doesn't matter what you use to open, but I am going to say this, don't use any of that. It's horrible. You're just asking for trouble. I mean, I guess if you get sufficiently comfortable enough with yourself and interacting with new people, you might be able to pull it off, but for a beginner or even an intermediate, I wouldn't bother. And if you're advanced, you would know better than to use that kind of stuff.
All right.
Okay.
Tell you what, should we get to Johnny Huge's question?
Yeah, Johnny had a question about being 46 and wanting to date a girl who is 20.
Yeah, he's got the 18 to 20-year-old cashier is flirting with him during the day. He wants to get him into bed, but doesn't want to be creepy.
Well, the first piece of advice is, don't be creepy. If you don't want her to perceive you as being creepy, don't be creepy. At the same time, you're going to have to escalate, so you may have to risk appearing creepy. If you ever want to get her into bed, you're going to have to risk being perceived as creepy. So the first thing that you're going to have to do, and this is kind of an area where we excel, we both like really young girls and we are in our 30s, but the first thing that you're going to have to do is get over the fact that you think it's creepy for somebody of the age of 46 to be going for somebody 18, 20. She's going to think it's creepy if you think it's creepy. If you don't think it's creepy, she's not going to see any problem with it. The first thing that you're going to have to do is get to the point where you feel that sense of entitlement. I've noticed the older I get, the more responsive younger girls get. So when you can come to the place where you realize that not only is it not creepy, but you deserve that. You're entitled to have the kind of girl that you want, and it doesn't matter if she's 18, 20. That just means you have 20 years of experience on her. And don't hold her age against her. Don't think because she's 18, 19 that, that she's cut from different cloth or anything. No, you've got a lot of experience. Don't hold her lack of experience against her. Just go for it.
Yeah. And an actual line you can use is one that we got from Brad P, and I think that one is wonderful, where he says, like, as an older guy flirting with a younger woman, he'd say point blank, you should be very careful flirting with me, because I might take you seriously, and I'm a dirty old man, and I will do dirty, dirty things to you.
I am the guy that your dad is warning you about. You better watch out. I'm the big bad wolf. Your mom warned you about me as well. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, so just saying things like that, just setting a sexual frame is good, and that was one way to, like what I said, is setting a sexual frame that it's alright for you to think of me sexually even though I'm a lot older than you.
Okay, so with that aside, I guess we can even call that a myth. One myth is that if you're in your 40s, you shouldn't even bother with girls in their early 20s. Bullshit. Okay, so next on our list of myths to conquer, and I kind of put that list in a really weird location, so I'm going to move this. Which one do you think we should go with?
Let's do number 3, attraction versus comfort. Because before we were talking about Twilight, as what girls find like building comfort, and this builds off of that. The comfort, so to speak, that Bella feels for Edward the vampire isn't what people in the Seduction community usually call comfort. It's really it's sexual tension.
So basically, if you are going out trying to build attraction or comfort, you're going about this the entire wrong way. Sure, attraction, comfort, they can help you for certain. Sometimes it's great. Like we talked last week, where we debunked the myth of looks don't matter. Well, in fact they do, and so that's where kind of attraction comes in. But it's not your only tool. It can help you, it can hurt you. Comfort's the same way. It sometimes helps you, sometimes hurts you. What always helps you is having sexual tension. So you should be thinking more in terms of sexual tension and sexual escalation rather than silly terms like attraction and comfort that may help or may not help. That may or may not help you. So start thinking in terms of sexual tension.
Yeah, and also as far as attraction is concerned, I don't know, we go off and on deciding whether or not to use this the term attraction, because a lot of people like attraction in the basic sense of you see someone and you're sexually attracted to them. We as men, we can see a girl with big boobs and we have it right off the bat. For a girl to be attracted to you, it takes a little bit more. And if I saw a girl, like a young girl with big boobs, and then she went away, and the next day I think about her, I'd probably still be attracted to her in that memory, like, wow, yep, I still do want her. Now a woman, she sees you, she has a fun time with you, you leave, 24 hours later she thinks about you. Does she still think of you sexually? And that's, if we take that as the baseline for attraction, then most guys don't build attraction with a girl when they think they're building quote-unquote attraction. What I would say instead, they're building curiosity and interest.
In a lot of ways, I pretty much only think of attraction just on the physical level. A girl can look at a guy and say, hey, he's attractive or he's not. That's what it is. A lot of the times it has nothing really to do with what you say or do. She just looks at you and goes, yeah, okay, he's got a nice body, seems to be in shape, cool, he's attractive. Facial symmetry, that kind of stuff. So, does that mean if you're not attractive in that sense that you can't get her to be attractive in the other sense? No, you can still do that with sexual tension, setting sexual frames, getting her to invest in the interaction, all these things that we always talk about. And it's far more potent than doing stuff like negging or DH being like is the standard for a building attraction, using cocky funny, that kind of shit. What we would prescribe would actually be far more effective in building that. But we won't go. We've talked about that many, many times, and we don't really need to go into that today.
All right. Lunchbox is asking, please do the myth that all pickup gurus are gods and pull 100% of the time and never fail. Well, that's not true. I mean, we pull probably only like 95% of the time.
Exactly, 95, 96,
yeah,
something like that.
Like I walk down the street and I only get laid, maybe 4 out of 5 times on the sidewalk.
Yeah. So this is absolutely a myth. And I'm going to extend this past even pickup gurus. We can extend this to, famous ladies men like, Warren Beatty or I don't know who else, Wilt Chamberlain, who claimed he had sex with 20,000 women, which I'm calling bullshit on. But it's not possible to constantly be getting laid. There are going to be nights, even if you're somebody who is, far better than any pickup guy like Warren Beatty or something, who apparently has slept with pretty much every woman in Hollywood. He's going to have nights where he doesn't get laid. It happens. It happens to everybody. So the idea that you can always go out and always get laid, well, there's so many other factors. If you go out to a place where there are no other women, for whatever reason, you're in Salt Lake City, Utah, and it's a Monday night and there's nobody out, except for a couple of other dudes. What can you do? There's no women there, so you're not going to get laid. Or maybe you happen to go to a party where everyone there is in a bachelorette party and none of them are actually available. Well, what can you do?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it was just the other night. We went out, and I was feeling good. I felt like I was on my game. I think I talked to probably around 7 groups of girls that night. Each one of them, opened just fine. They all wanted me around, and so they all those groups hooked, so to speak. And I sexually escalated with all of them. And I ended up going home alone just because every one of them, no matter how good it seemed to get, it turns out, as I was asking the 5 logistical questions, there was some gray area, and so I stuck around, and it turns out that there was just a logistical problem, and I couldn't go with them. These were girls who were staying in the same room as their friends, and I couldn't quite win over the friends enough that they'd be cool with me hooking up with their friend. Or it was a situation where if this girl had sex with me, the only way it could happen is if her friends knew about it and blessed off the having sex ahead of time. Just some odd situations. So there it was just luck of the draw. It was in the cards that, 7 girls, really good interactions, really strong interactions with, lots of kino, a lot of touching. They were grabbing my ass and I was touching them and feeling them discreetly where no one was looking. And didn't go home with any of them. Yeah. So stuff like that happens, even to us.
Well, and yeah, it's going to happen to everyone. And women kind of set this up. They know their tendencies, and lucky for us, we also know their tendencies. And other women love to have sex, so they will purposely set their logistics up bad so that they don't hook up with every guy, which is something that you can overcome. But you're going to find that a majority of women are going to be poor logistical candidates, and there's nothing you can do about that. Let's go on to Sharpshooter's question. He has a question saying, hey, I have a question. Okay, when I see 4 or so girls at the bar, I walk up and say, you girls like what you see? Speak up. I've been getting mixed reviews on, but I like using it, so what can I do to get it better? I like that one. Now, it's definitely one of those. It's a high risk, high reward. The best thing that you could do to improve that is just the delivery. Being comfortable with it. And probably here's where you're on the poor reviews of this. It's going to be one of 2 things. One, you delivered it poorly and you were not comfortable with the response. Or the other possibility is they're just boring girls or not interested. There's nothing you can do about that too. If you walk up to a group of girls and they're all recently married and happy, which is kind of redundant because they're only going to be happily married if it's recent. But anyhow, that's a whole different subject. Then, there's nothing you can do. They're probably just going to be like, okay, whatever, dude. So, the 2 things that you can work on. One, just delivering it properly. Saying it positive, or with knowing that it's going to work. And even if it doesn't, it's not going to be that big a deal. At worst, it's going to be pretty funny for you if they respond poorly. The second thing that you can work on is just when they do give you a poor response, being comfortable with it. Being able to laugh it off or just hold it. You know, if they say, dream on, loser or something, just stand there, smile, wait for more. Until they respond. And they realize that you are comfortable with that kind of tension. And guess what that means? Any sort of tension like that between a man and a woman, it's still sexual tension. Show her that you can be comfortable with that, even if it goes poorly. Other than that, you know, if it doesn't work, cool. You're doing a high-risk one, so walk off and find somebody that it will work on. Because when lines like that do work, they're powerful. And it'll hook very hard.
Funny as a question, how about the myth of Zan? Nick, when was the last time you guys got some serious pussy by telling a girl that she is a beautiful work of art? Other sappy things. I'm assuming Epic could pull it off, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, Zan is a very, very handsome fella.
Quite handsome. Also, I would say that no matter what on your looks, if you go up and tell a girl that she is a beautiful work of art and that she is just one of the most amazing human beings you've ever seen, if this girl's a 5 on the look scale, that will work. She would love that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. The uglier the girl is, the more likely this is going to work. Although there's also going to be the BS factor where you'd have to be really congruent with delivering this to a 5, because, you know, if she's a 5 or below and you're going up saying that she's a work of art, she might, you know, and rightly so, get the, what the fuck, is this guy fucking with me? Why is he saying, no, I'm not? So it's going to be kind of a mixed thing. I guess the biggest key to, if you were to take this kind of approach, the biggest key is to do it in a way where you're not giving your power away. Like, yeah, she's beautiful. It's kind of the same in going direct. I wouldn't be this poetic and flowery and work of art and I should worship, that kind of stuff. No. But you can't say, you know, you're really cute. What else? It's perfectly fine to be direct, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend going sappy.
Yeah. And also, I mean, there's being direct, but just being direct and telling a girl that she's beautiful and ending there isn't a good idea, because that doesn't show, I mean, it doesn't get the conversational ball rolling.
Right.
I mean, I will compliment a girl on her looks a lot, because the girls I'm talking to are usually very pretty. But the way that I like to ground it, I say, you know what, you're a good-looking person, but what I like best about you is the way that your smile is blah, 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 and I tell them something interesting about their smile, or that by the way they smile, or by the way they carry themselves, or by their body language, I can tell, and then I give them a compliment, and this is a compliment based on who they are, the way that they use this body they have, and those work a lot better.
And here's another one that I like to use along the same lines, and this is actually something that I have weird fetishes, and for me, the interesting thing about beauty is all of the flaws. So I'll talk about beautiful and tell her she's beautiful, but tell her that what really makes somebody interesting to me, or even more beautiful, is the flaws that she has. So, you know, I'll talk about Britney Spears back when she was considered hot and wasn't crazy. One thing that's interesting about her is that one of her eyes is lower than the other one, and that was what made me so attracted to her. So you could talk about her beauty, but also take away from that and say it's all the things that make her less than beautiful that are what really makes her beautiful to you. So, you know, another example, I saw this movie the other day, and there's this girl that had a birthmark over her entire body, and I don't know why, but I was strangely attracted to her, even though that's just kind of fucked up. She was flawed, obviously, but stuff like that actually make me attracted to her. So it's giving her that validation that she's beautiful, but also kind of playing with it a little bit and showing that it's more than just completely shallow, that you can go deeper than that.
Yep.
Okay, next question.
Let's see.
Tonality.
Oh yeah, tonality.
Yeah, you know, there's that old saying that 57% of it is this, that, whatever. I don't know the exact percentage, that communication is mostly not what you say, but how you say it. You know, to a certain extent, I agree with that. Delivery has a lot to do with it, and your delivery is largely based on your tonality, how you carry yourself, that kind of stuff. Get comfortable saying the kind of things that you say to women. As far as tonality, this is another reason why it's so comical to watch guys like Mihao approach girls because his tonality is so gay that it's comical to think that he's even getting girls with this very gay tonality, you know. So if you have that, and if you have these kind of vocal inflections and whatnot and shit, I know that I have certain tonalities that might also trigger those kind of things. Work on them. Just start working on talking with a lower voice, with a more confident voice. Here's a tip: when you speak, push from your diaphragm, so you're going to be projecting more. So you want to breathe down into your tummy and then just push out, and that will cause your voice to be a lot louder. It'll project more, and it's going to make you sound a lot more confident.
And one thing that can help is just record yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You go out. I remember I did that once. It's been like 10 years since over 10 years since I did this. When I was in France, I was trying to learn French, so I recorded myself for one entire day, and I listened to that recording later, and I was able to tell a lot of, I caught a lot of mistakes that I never caught before. Is on the level of the language, and also I realized that sometimes I was speaking too fast, or I was speaking quieter. And sometimes when people couldn't understand me, it wasn't that I wasn't using the right words, it was just by the way my inflection was off, that sort of thing. And then later on I did the same thing, recorded myself in English, and I found out that there's a lot of stuff that I was doing wrong. Heck, when I do comedy, every comedy routine I've ever done in a club, I recorded. And sometimes a joke bombs, I think, that sucks, because that joke was hilarious. Why didn't it work? Maybe I have to scrap it. I go back and watch the footage. The audience had no idea what I was saying because I skipped over a few words, or maybe I mumbled. So, heck, record yourself and try to slow down and speak from your diaphragm.
Yeah, and that was one of the key benefits back when we were actually doing live infield training, is that you were able to not only hear yourself but see yourself, as we did hidden camera video of you approaching women, and you were able to see exactly where you were fucking up and exactly where you were doing things right. So unfortunately we're not doing that anymore. Mm-hmm. You guys missed out on that, but that was a great chance. If you do have an opportunity to have that done, you should definitely take it.
Yeah.
But moving on.
And plus, I mean, we got hours and hours of footage that we filmed of students
mm-hmm.
that we've given live coaching to, and we've discussed in the future we might put some of that together into a product or give them away in some free videos. But before we did that, of course, we're going to get the guys' permission that were in it,
mm-hmm.
and spend some time blurring faces and things if we want to.
Also, I guess that was kind of a half-truth. We will be in New York in a few weeks for a couple of weeks, and we will be doing some live coaching for that. So we have a few spots left. They're going very quickly. So if you are interested in getting infield video of yourself and really mastering the art of saying night lays, I don't want to plug it that much, but we will be offering that, so it's going to be first come, first serve. We know that they will sell out, so act quick on that. Okay, so moving on to the next myth. Should we do this? If you go out enough, eventually you'll get it. I like that myth, because it's one of those ones that it seems somewhat plausible. If you just go out and practice talking to girls, you'll eventually get it. And you know what? Maybe you will. I'm going to guess you probably won't. And here's why. I know guys that go out a lot, and they approach women a lot, but they do it wrong. So all they do is reinforce all their bad habits, and they go out and practice and practice and practice bad habits. And so they wonder why they're not getting it, even though they've done this forever. Well, it's because you're practicing the wrong things. You are further, we can think of somebody that we know that has been doing this for a while, and he approaches a lot. But the problem is, he does it poorly. So even though he can go out and approach, and he's been doing this for years and years and years, the reason he hasn't gotten any better is because he's practicing the wrong things.
And this goes to one of the things that we noticed, that when we were doing the live coaching, a lot of guys say that, you know what, I'm really good at approaching. I'm really good at building up initial comfort. I just need your help sealing the deal. And we watched them talk to girls, and we realized these guys had some really bad habits. And the problem is, some of the bad habits can be reinforced
mm-hmm.
negatively, Because say some guy goes in and he makes a girl a little bit uncomfortable, but he has just enough game that maybe he can kiss her within 3 minutes of meeting her, and he gets a phone number, and he does these things that we would call flash game that look really good, but after 5 to 10 minutes the whole conversation fizzles and it's over. If a guy is kissing a girl 3 to 4 minutes after he meets her, that reinforces to him, he thinks, wow, I'm doing something right. And it never occurs to them to think that by kissing him he's setting up a roadblock for himself that he has to overcome later. And it makes things worse. Or by getting a phone number doesn't mean that you're doing well up to that point. It just means that for some reason she was either felt socially responsible that she couldn't not give you a number and look rude, so you're going to get a flaky number or maybe even a fake phone number. So we get these guys coming to us that think they just need a tweak on the end of their game, when really they've been practicing these bad habits for so long because there's some rewards along the way. You get kisses, you get phone numbers, you get girls laughing and saying that you're the funniest guy ever.
And
so,
yeah, stuff like that doesn't, you could well be the funniest guy ever. Doesn't mean you're going to get laid. This is a reason why comedians always joke about the fact that they don't get laid. Funny guys don't tend to get laid. Women's sense of humor is completely different. I think we kind of covered that last week as well.
Are there trainers who might be good coaches, but not necessarily good in-field themselves? In your opinion, a good coach must also be good in-field himself.
I think a better coach would be one who's actually good himself.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I've seen all combinations of those.
Yeah.
We can say that, all right, we'll say a good coach who isn't good in-field themselves, I would say that person is not a good coach in the sense that they won't get you laid. But I've seen people, a lot of guys who I know are horrible in-field, but yet after taking coaching from these people, guys will say, yeah, they were really good, I learned a lot. So what these coaches are good at is building up a student's confidence or in making a student think that they're getting better.
Right.
A good example of that would be what I was just talking about, a coach that pushes for his guys to get a phone number real fast or pushes for his guys to get a kiss really fast. Now that won't get his students laid, but these students see these little rewards and they say, wow, this coach. Or coaches that have an interesting personality and they make the student think that they're learning, give them a positive, good vibes, but they actually don't get any better with women.
Let's take the opposite of that too. There are several coaches out there that, although they are really good in field, they're not very good at coaching. A lot of the times it's because and I can think of several of these. I can think of
yes, Lunchbox. That is exactly what I was talking about. We won't say it out loud for this recording,
exactly.
But that's who I was talking about.
Yeah. Now there are a lot of coaches out there that are also they're really good at getting women, but they're not very good at coaching as well because they don't really know exactly what they're doing. They just happen to be getting a lot of results, and so a lot of what they're telling you is stuff that they think is what's going on, but it's not actually what's causing the seduction to occur. I could think of several examples of that. I'm not going to name them on air as well, but there are many coaches out there that actually are really good at getting women, but they are not very good at giving that information to you in a way that's actually going to be useful or even giving you the right information. Some of these guys think that it's because they're they're cocky funny and that's why they're getting laid when no, it just happens to be that you are tall, dark, and handsome and you're going for girls with low self-esteem. Or something like that.
Yeah, and so that's a common. So the one extreme is the one I was talking about, where they know a lot of game theory, and they can make students think that, and it could be guys that know a lot of game theory and are good teachers. They're good at getting, explaining things, but they're explaining the wrong stuff because they're not actually that good themselves. And the other one Nick is talking about, we've seen a lot of guys who are naturals. And the one, I'm sure that we might be thinking about the same guy that we saw over in Florida.
Yep.
I mean, we know this guy probably gets laid a lot, but yet we see the stuff that he's teaching guys, and he is a horrible coach because he's teaching guys the wrong things. He says, well, what I do, the reason that I get laid so much is because what I'm doing is I'm social proofing the room, and I'm getting these girls to like me, and I'm showing that I'm a dominant male. It's like, no, the reason you're getting laid is not because of those things. The reason you're getting laid is because you're creating a lot of sexual tension and you're escalating.
Exactly. It had nothing to do with the things that he thought was important. Okay, well, maybe one more myth and then end this episode, and we'll continue with Big Fat Stinking Myths Part 3 next week. Do we have any more questions?
For example,
funny, I'm not going to mention the name on air as well, but yes, you're correct. That is true. Okay, so let's see. What do you think?
Maybe cultural differences.
Okay, cultural differences. Here's the thing, and this is why I put it up there, is basically the idea that